Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be talking about Sinbad and should you be recruiting for him tomorrow, because he's going to be up on Rate Up Recruitment starting from tomorrow. And for this video and all future videos I do about should you be recruiting for these heroes, I want to then at the end of the video put him into one of four categories. Number one would be must have for your account, number two would be nice to have, number three would be passable, and number four would be hard pass. Most of the time, no hero is going to end up in hard pass. I think really the only rate up recruitment hero to date that would be in hard pass would be Soren. Everything else could be in one of the other tiers. But it can give us an idea, for example, how important he is for your account. Basically, if a hero is a must-have hero, then you will always want to be recruiting for them. For example, Lily May was one of the best examples of a must-have hero. But if they're in the other categories, you can pass on them. It isn't going to be like the worst thing for your account. Okay, so we're going to go through his abilities, starting from his ultimate. So his ultimate has a passive element of it, which will cause all of his skill casting to be affected by not only his haste, but also his attack speed. All heroes, their haste will increase the casting speed of their skills, but attack speed will also do it for Sinbad. And this is important because it can allow him to cast his skills much more frequently than any other hero. The other thing is that the active form of this Whizzing Edge, Sinbad lands as many hits as possible on the enemy for 3 seconds. So the faster his attack speed, the more hits he can land. And it will be dealing 100 plus 15 and at maximum level 120% damage per hit. And after all of these attacks in the 3 seconds, he'll deliver a final strike for 240% damage. Now, this is a high amount of damage output from his ultimate ability, but we'll have to look at his other skills to see where is he going to be ending up, because the question is who will he be attacking with this ultimate ability. If it is a backline hero, then this is great, but the problem is because of the other abilities he has, he's usually going to end up locking on to the tank and using his ultimate on the tank, but this begins with 300 pre-filled energy. Okay, moving on to his first skill. This is his most defining skill, the thing which makes Sinbad what he is. Tracker's Instincts. 6 seconds into a battle, Sinbad vaults behind his allies, so he goes basically off the map, but he is still targetable. Like, for example, diagonal arrows can still hit him, and can even kill him during this state. That's what I saw in the testing on the Pioneer server. He starts assessing the enemy's strength. He marks the enemy dealing the most damage as the hitter, and the one taking the most damage as the guard. These marks last for 30 seconds. Sinbad then charges at the hitter, dealing 120% damage 4 times and reducing their attack by 45%. I believe at level 4 of this ability it goes up to 60% attack reduction. And next he takes on the guard, dealing the same damage 4 times and increasing their damage taken by 25%. And I again believe at level 4 it goes up 5% per level, up to 40% increased damage taken by the guard. Both debuffs expire when their respective marks do. If a marked enemy is defeated or when the marks expire, Sinbad starts a new assessment and becomes unaffected during this time. The debuffs are reduced to 20% of the original effect when used against bosses. Now, this final line is really important because if you're thinking that this is going to cause the boss to take 40% bonus damage from your team, it is not the case. They're reduced to 20% of their original effect. So 20% of the 40% reduction, which is only 8% increased damage taken by the boss. So, but the other thing he's providing some attack reduction to the boss. It will help your team survive for a bit longer. So I think Sinbad can be usable in Dream Realm. However, in the endless mode optimal teams, I don't know if he's going to have a place. I think prior to getting to endless mode, he is going to be a decent and good option, but yeah, when we're talking about endless teams, I'm not sure if he will have a place because it's very competitive for the slots in an endless mode team, and I don't know if he will be a better option than all the other really powerful heroes we have for that. But definitely he has Dream Realm applications because of this ability, the Tracker's Instinct. And it gets even crazier when we look at his Mythic Plus ability. How it makes Tracker's Instinct even more powerful onto bosses specifically. But the issue with this, if you look, Sinbad charges the hitter, and then he charges the guard. And now the guard is probably going to be very tanky, and Sinbad is going to end up just attacking the guard, which is not where you want him to end up. For PvP purposes, you would much rather have it be the reverse, attack the guard first and then attack the hitter, and then start just focusing all of your skills on the hitter. But it's the opposite here. And so if you can break through the guard, then it's amazing. But like if it's like a Thorin or like a really tanky Feresto, it's still going to be difficult to beat them. And then Sinbad can just be killed before he can get off another Tracker's Instinct. But the attack reduction definitely is a big deal. Like for example, if the opponent has a hyper carry in the back and you're able to reduce their attack by 60%, and it's going to last for 30 seconds for the whole duration of this mark, that is a big deal. You're reducing their damage by a lot, and you're almost guaranteed to get at least off your first Tracker's Instinct before Sinbad dies. So that is one strong factor about him for PvP. Okay, let's move on to his next ability, Duo Cut. Skill 2, only a 4-second cooldown, and with his haste and his attack speed, it's going to be on an even lower cooldown. It'll be casted even quicker than 4 seconds. Sinbad swings his double-headed blade twice, dealing 200 up to 240% damage per hit to his target. That is a powerful damaging skill, in total 480% attack, and it's going to be on a very low cooldown. This is going to be one of his major ways of shredding through the target that he is fighting against. Moving on to his Hero Focus, his Legendary Plus ability. This will increase his attack speed by up to 33 during battle, and attack speed benefits him not only with faster normal attacks, but also faster skill casting because of the passive of his ultimate ability. Other heroes don't have this effect, Sinbad does. Let's move on to his Mythic Plus. So, Adaptive Prowess. And we have another screenshot after this showing you the level 3 and level 4 upgrades as well. So this is, again, this is going to amplify the power of his Tracker's Instinct. And this is going to make Sinbad even better. So let's take a look. He studies the fighting styles of the hitter and the guard to strengthen the debuff he applies. If the hitter deals more normal attack damage, Sinbad's debuff will reduce their attack speed by 60. So already looking at this, this is very PvP focused. You're studying the hitter's damage like mechanisms, and you're trying to reduce the stat, either attack speed if they're more based on normal attacks like Diurnal, or if they deal more skill damage, then it will reduce their energy recovery efficiency. Actually, Diurnal could even be for energy recovery efficiency. I don't know which is actually the higher damage output at the beginning of the match. But either way, both of these are very powerful debuffs. If you're talking about an enemy boss, the energy recovery efficiency, I don't think you're able to reduce the energy recovery efficiency of a boss. So I would hope that this would always reduce the attack speed, and then it would help your team survive for longer. For the guard, if they depend more on healing from allies or themselves, then Sinbad will reduce their vitality. That will reduce the effectiveness of the healing by 60%. If they rely more on damage mitigations, the debuff will reduce their physical and magical defense by 30%, which will cause you to shred through them faster. So overall, it's just strengthening the power of the Tracker's Instincts, which is really good because 6 seconds into the match, you're pretty much guaranteed to get off one Tracker's Instinct to the hitter and the guard over the course of the fight, and that debuff is going to last for the 30 seconds, which is really pretty powerful. Okay, if the hitter deals more normal attack damage, Sinbad will reduce the attack speed. It goes up to 80 attack speed reduction and 80% reduction of the energy recovery efficiency. And if we take a look at the upgrades of the exclusive skills, then if an enemy is marked at level 3, which is plus 10 upgrade of the exclusive equipment, if the enemy is marked as a hitter or guard in 2 consecutive assessments, their attack is further reduced by 10%. So this is now going to be, this is difficult to pull off. Like in PvP purposes, I find it very difficult to believe Sinbad is going to survive for 30 seconds to reapply the mark. It could be that you kill one of the enemies. As soon as you kill one enemy, he is going to re-evaluate and reapply Tracker's Instinct. And if, for example, the hitter is still the same, and you kill the guard, for example, then the hitter is now going to get a further attack reduction. But it isn't a huge deal, like 10% at level 3 exclusive equip skill. We'll talk about level 4 after this, but at level 3, a further 10% attack reduction. You're already reducing their attack by 60%, and causing the guard to take 5% more damage if marked as the guard. So that is not a big difference. It really changes at his plus 15 upgrade of his exclusive equipment. Level 4 is now going to reduce the hitter's attack by an extra 40% and guard's damage taken by an extra 20%. Now this is if in 2 consecutive assessments of Tracker's Instinct, it is the same hitter or the same guard. Like I said, for Sinbad to survive for 30 seconds, you've probably already won the fight. He's an assassin, rogue type hero. He's going to be in the front line attacking the tank. He doesn't have anything to protect himself other than Tracker's Instinct to dash to behind your whole team, but then he comes back into the front line. So if you've survived 30 seconds, you've probably already won the match. The only way I really see him in PvP re-triggering the Tracker's Instinct is if you manage to kill either the guard or the hitter, and then you can apply this more powerful debuff if the hitter or the guard is going to be the same in the second assessment. So for example, let's say the opponent has a granny tank and a diagonal hitter. You debuff the diagonal, you debuff the granny, and now he's locked onto the granny. He uses his ultimate, you burst through the granny. Now he's going to reevaluate the field with his Tracker's Instinct, and he's going to assess a new guard and a new hitter. Now the hitter could still be the same as a diagonal. Now this time when he's debuffing the diagonal, not only is he reducing 60% attack of the diagonal, he's going to do 40% on top of that, so 100% in total attack reduction of the diagonal. So that's how I see in PvP him re-triggering this effect. I think waiting for the 30 seconds, either he's going to be dead at that point or your team has already won. So I don't really see that, like, the 30 seconds being the factor. Is just going to be if you manage to kill one of the marked targets, then you can reassess and maybe get a more valuable debuff if it is the same hitter or guard. Now, talking about Dream Realm, because now the guard is going to be the same and the hitter is going to be the same in Dream Realm, is both going to be the boss. So this level 4 exclusive equipment is going to power him up for bosses, but again, in total, he will have 100% attack reduction in bosses and up to 60% damage taken bonus to the boss after reapplying his Tracker's Instinct. But remember, looking at his Tracker's Instinct skill, all of the debuffs are reduced to 20% of the original effect when used against bosses. So 20% of 60% increased damage is only 12%. So 12% increased damage to the bosses, even when you reevaluate after 30 seconds have passed. And 100% of attack, you have to take 20% of that. So 20% attack reduction of the boss's attack. So overall, these debuffs to the boss, even at his plus 15 exclusive equipment, reanalyzing, it is still at most going to be 12% increased damage the boss receives, which is like, that's already what Thorn's magic charms are providing. Thorn's magic charm is providing 7% bonus damage received by the boss. And so I really find it hard to believe that, I mean, the problem is that these debuffs are reduced in so much like magnitude to 20% of their original value. If it were anything less than this, like even 50% of the original effect reduced, then Sinbad would be amazing for bosses. But the problem is it's 20%. Down to 20% of your debuffing, and that really basically makes him a very minor form of debuff to the bosses. And then his damage output like can be fine, but you have plenty of great damages for Dream Realm who are way better than him. So that is the problem. Like even Lily May's magic charms, once we get it to mythic level, it's gonna give, I think, up to 16 or above percent damage, increased damage received by the boss just from the magic charm bonus, which is already going to be better than Tracker's Instinct ever can provide, even at plus 15 exclusive equipment, even reassessing to bosses, that is. Now for PvP, these debuffs are gonna be insane. They're really going to like shut down enemy heroes. However, if people are running multiple threats, then there's still always going to be non-debuff targets. And also, if they're really tanky like a Thorn or Fresto, it's going to be difficult for you to break through the guard even after having these debuffs onto the guard. And the final thing is that Sinbad, being a rogue, being in the front line for most of the fight after attacking the guard, he is susceptible to being killed. And then the enemy team has a 5v4 advantage over you. So overall, these are the problems with Sinbad. So I don't think he's going to be game breaking, basically. It could be very different if his debuff was like still like not so basically nerfed against bosses, but the fact that it is makes it that I don't even think he's going to be that meta or relevant in Dream Realm bosses. I think in the early game before getting to Endless mode, potentially he will have a place, but I think once we get to Endless mode, there are far better options than him. And only at max run providing 12% increased damage taken by the boss, that is not enough for him to be used. Okay, final ability is Enhanced Force. Duro card deals 140% more attack damage to enemies marked as hitter or guard. So this is great. Already his duo cut is on a really low cooldown. It hits, and it has a pretty high multiplier, hitting 240% attack times 2, so 480% attack. And he is going to be hitting the hitter and guard primarily during the course of the fight. Even in Dream Realm, the boss will be marked as both the hitter and the guard, so his duo cut will be dealing more damage to the boss. And because it's on a low cooldown, he can have decent damage output in bosses and in PvP as well. So this is an overall good enhancement to his duo cut ability. So now, keeping all of this in mind, let's put a positioning for Sinbad. I definitely think Sinbad is going to be a hero which has uses. I think for Supreme Arena in a light bearer oriented team, or even just as a debuffer in any team, will have applications and will be a strong option. In Dream Realm, I think maybe before getting to end this boss modes, he can be a decent damage dealer option with some debuffs. But I do think once we get to end this, there are going to be overall better options now that we have such really strong Dream Realm heroes. So I find it hard to believe he's going to be part of a meta endless boss mode team. And so overall, if I had to put him in a category, I definitely do not think Sinbad is a must-have. But at the same time, I do not think he's definitely is not a hard pass. He has some very unique abilities, and I do think he's going to be seeing play in PvP, and maybe before getting to end this of Dream Realm. So it's either that he will be in the nice to have category or in the passable category. And it kind of is up to your preference. But I think overall, looking at his kit and the fact that it's so unique and the form of debuffs he has, especially for PvP, I think that he'll be in the nice to have category. So basically category 2. And this is where most rated recruitment heroes, in my opinion, lie. Category 2. Most do not make it to must have. I think pretty much Lily, May, Mikola, maybe Almas are the heroes which probably lie in the must-have category out of the rated recruitments we've had. Most of the other ones lie in the nice-to-have category, and some of them lie in passable, and very few lie in hard pass, probably only Soren, like we mentioned. So overall, hopefully this gives you a good idea of whether to recruit for Sinbad. Another thing to keep in mind is throughout the season, many heroes are going to be offered on rated recruitment, and after Sinbad, most likely Tasi will be coming. And Tasi is expected to be a powerful hero, although we have no information on her skills, description, or anything like that as of right now. But Tasi was a pretty important hero for AFK Arena with some really powerful like debuffs. So it could be that she could be a must-have hero for this season. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But overall, Sinbad is a nice-to-have hero on your account, but definitely not needed and not a must-have. So that is my assessment of it. And if you want to recruit for him, then definitely he will be nice to have on your account. And if you want to pass on him, I think you're going to be just fine having an account without him. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. That is going to be it for this one, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.